Citi Field in New York. Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. It's go time at the Hyundai Summer Sales Event. Hyundai, not just new, better. By Fios. Fios is not cable. We're wired differently. Visit getfios.com. By the Kia Top Quality Sales Event ends September 6th. Visit TriStateKiaDealers.com to learn more. By Raymore and Flanagan Furniture, furnishing your style. By Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. And by Toyota, the annual clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Phillies. You know, the Mets offense lately has been hitting on more cylinders. Over the last 11 games, the Mets are averaging 5.8 runs per game, and it's helped them win 5 of their last 6 games. But it doesn't mean that everything is clicking right now for this team. You've still got a couple of key left-handed bats kind of lost in the wilderness. Jay Bruce since he got here, and Curtis Granderson really all season.
Well, Jay Bruce is getting a night off. He had a tough night. Since coming over to the Mets, he's been hitting under 200 and really struggling. And I really saw the frustration in his face last night, Gary. He struck out 4 times and 4 at-bats. I think it's a wise move by Terry Collins to sit him down, let him just take a deep breath, watch the game, not have the pressure of having the bat. On the other hand, you've got Diaz. We were talking about Diaz this way in the first half. He really didn't produce much in the first half. He's out there in center field. He's been getting some big key hits in the second half. Granderson has been struggling too. He's in right field. But the Mets have been hitting, and that little chart we had for you before, the graphic, the most important thing on there was the bottom one, runners in scoring position. The Mets have been so woeful all year. 294 during this nice stretch they have going on.
And the guy who has really turned it around is Asdrubal Cabrera. Remember, earlier in the year, Cabrera had an 0 for 32 stretch with runners in scoring position, but he's turned it completely around.
Well, he hit 2 home runs last night, 1 from each side of the plate, and he's just really turned it on since coming off the DL. And this team, I can't emphasize enough that they had 6 guys out of this lineup for such a long time. Now they're back. It's easy to see why they're scoring 5+ runs a game.
Meanwhile, the Mets pitching has been struggling, but Bartolo Colon gave them a good start last night, and Noah Syndergaard was scintillating his last time out against the Giants.
Well, I thought his last 3 starts, and this was were getting better and better, and obviously his last start in San Francisco with the 8 innings, 2-hit shutout ball. He's back on the beam. He's got a 2-game winning streak going on here, and he is in his young career has had 3 starts against these Phillies, and he has dominated them, won all 3 games.
Meanwhile, for the Phillies, the veteran right-hander Jeremy Hellickson has had a really good year, but not so good against the Mets.
Well, his last 10 starts, he's gone 6-1. He's been a different pitcher in the second half. ERA under 3, but the Mets in his 3 starts against the Mets this year, they have touched him up. They've touched him up for 5 home runs. The Mets got to try to keep pace in the wild card. Hope to do the same thing to Hellickson tonight.
Mets have won 6 of 10 from the Phillies so far this year. They try and keep the good times rolling tonight. Wilmer Flores, a big hero last night with a grand slam. Mets will try and keep the offense rolling with Syndergaard on the mound. It's the Mets and Phillies, all the action on Pix 11. Optimum Wi-Fi, an expanding network of over 1.5 million hotspots. Come out to Citi Field Saturday, September 3rd. The Mets play the Nationals for their final fireworks night of 2016, presented by Empire City Casino. After the game, an exciting fireworks show that will light up the night sky. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Themes of the game brought to you by Hyundai. Not just new, better.
Well, we're going to tap into your Bruce Springsteen here. Glory days. The Mets, 9 games with 4 home runs or more. The 86 Mets only had 1 game where they hit 4 home runs in the 86 season. Cabrera on I'm on fire. Yes, he is. Nice multi-hit home run game last night. And Born to Run, well, we know that Syndergaard has had his issues with holding runners on base. 40, that is tops in the National League and Major League Baseball.
Although in his last start, 2 runners attempted to steal. Both were thrown out. He's trending in a positive direction. Less darkness on the edge of that town. First pitch, Mets and Phillies coming up. Been a good week already for the Syndergaards. Man and beast, 8 scoreless innings for Noah last Sunday. A big win for the horse yesterday at Saratoga. And now Syndergaard, the pitcher, tries to cap the week with another big game tonight against the Phillies. Starting lineups brought to you by the Honda Summer Clearance Event. One addition to the lineup for the Phillies tonight. Jimmy Paredes gets the start in left field. Otherwise the same unit that Pete McCann ran out there last night. A.J. Ellis has joined the team. A.J. came over in the trade for Carlos Ruiz. He's on the bench tonight, sitting behind Cameron Rupp, as Syndergaard faces the Phillies for the 4th time in his career.
Well, his 25th start of the season and coming off a splendid 8-inning shutout, 2-hit ball against the Giants. The strikeouts at 177. He's probably got, what, 8 more starts, Syndergaard, so he's a lock for 200-plus strikeouts on the year. His walks are astounding for a guy at his age, and he's looking to keep the Mets steamroller rolling. And the defense brought to you by your Honda dealer, and that's your Met defense, of course. Of course, Jay Bruce, we talked in the open about getting a Rest Curtis in right field. The infield is the Jose Reyes has just been playing a splendid third base.
And Rene Rivera, who does all the catching for Syndergaard, is behind the plate.
Mets made a player move before the game. They put Justin Ruggiano on the disabled list with a left shoulder injury. Recall T.J. Rivera, who's been a yo-yo between here and Vegas. Syndergaard ready to face Cesar Hernandez. First pitch of the night, a fastball outside, and we're underway. Keith mentioned the walks and the strikeouts. 48 starts in Noah's career, 63 walks, 343 strikeouts. No pitcher in history has had that many strikeouts with that few walks through his first 48 starts ever.
Well, he's way ahead of his of the game as far as command is concerned for a young man his age.
And the curveball, a half swing, and Hernandez held it 2-1.
It was interesting during that stretch that he had where he lost what 5 out of 6 decisions. And that was over around a month and a half. He lost command of his breaking ball, but he's never lost his fastball, Gare, and he is getting it back on track.
Number 1 in the National League in strikeout to walk ratio this year, averaging less than 2 walks per 9 innings, but behind his leadoff hitter 3-1. And Hernandez taking all the way, and it's ball 4. So a very rare leadoff walk issued by Noah Syndergaard.
It's a jinx.
I think Terry was very happy with that last ball 4 call from Will Little, the young home plate umpire. No tantrums yet, though. See the Bryce Harper
through his bat and through his helmet?
He was, I mean, that was a total snap this afternoon.
Well, he's kind of wound tight, don't you think?
Well, he's having a rough year.
He sure is.
That's part of it.
He sure is.
Here's Odubel Herrera. Hernandez 13 stolen bases, but he's been caught 9 times. And as we mentioned earlier, Syndergaard and Rivera really tightened things up in that start Sunday night in San Francisco. 2 base runners thrown out trying to steal, including Eduardo Nunez, who's a legit base stealer. Syndergaard got it to the plate in a hurry. Rivera got rid of the throw in a hurry. And that really was a benchmark for Syndergaard as he tries to put a little crimp in opposing teams' running games. He's been concentrating on getting that ball to the plate a little quicker.
That's hit down to third. Nice stop by Reyes. He finds the ball, gets the force, and that's all. That was another terrific play by Reyes on a hard hit ball by Herrera. And they get the first out of the night.
Well, we mentioned how Jose has been playing terrific defense. You know, he's athletic. He's got good hands. It's a new position. I did not think he would take to this position so quickly, Gare, but he's making all the plays.
So now Herrera aboard at first. And Aaron Altair hitting third in the order. Altair 1 for 4 last night. Herrera with 19 steals on the year. And that leads the Phillies. Slider on the corner for a strike. 0-1 to Altair. Missed over 100 games to start the season following wrist surgery during spring training. So he's just getting his feet under him, just over 100 bats into his year. Played left field last night. He's playing right field tonight for the Phillies. And Syndergaard, a couple of sliders, gets ahead 0-2.
Couple good sliders, good spots. First one was better than this one, but still it's on the corner. Little downward tilt.
Michael Franco waiting on deck. 0-2 to Altair. And he makes some contact with that slider and stays alive. Syndergaard is averaging 10.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, but his strikeouts are down a little bit second half of the year. Even in that great game in San Francisco, he struck out 6 over 8 innings, but because he was getting some quicker outs, he was able to limit his pitch count through just 98 pitches in 8 innings.
You saw Rivera there give the thumb up, actually pointing towards first base, and that was to indicate to Syndergaard to throw over. A lot of times pitchers get so focused, fastball away here on 0-2 count.
He sets up off the plate. Herrera runs. It's lined right to Walker. Unassisted double play. Side retired. Mets got fortunate there with Herrera on the move. Walker moving right into it and grabs the liner and turns it into 2. Honda summer clearance event. Curtis Granderson, for the first time in his Mets career, has dropped to number 7 in the batting order. Last time he hit 7th, he was a Yankee. It was 3 years ago. Alejandro De Aza, big night a couple of nights ago in St. Louis, moved up in the order tonight.
And there's Jeremy Hellickson. Mets, have we said, kind of roasted him over his career. 3 starts against the Mets. He's 1-1 with an ERA of 5.63. And Jose Reyes comes to the plate, but Hellickson has been on a roll. The last 6 starts for Hellickson, the Philadelphia Phillies have won, and he's on a 4-game winning streak.
Last 10 starts, 6-1, 2.45. His only loss in that span was to the Mets. Reyes, Cabrera, and Cespedes will try and get it started for the Mets. Last night, Reyes and Cabrera led off the game with back-to-back home runs, only the 2nd time in Mets history that had been accomplished, and Reyes was involved in both 9 years apart. And he takes the first one from Hellickson outside for ball 1.
Hellickson is not an overpowering pitcher. Got a good changeup. He mixes his pitches up well. Hard to get a pattern of how he attacks hitters.
Former American League Rookie of the Year in Tampa Bay back in 11. And Reyes takes a strike. Hellickson now 29 years old, from Des Moines, Iowa. Last year pitched in Arizona, came over for a minor leaguer in the offseason, and he's been a stabilizing influence in the Phillies rotation. There's the changeup, and Reyes foul tips it 1-2.
3 starts against the Mets this year, a no decision, a loss, and a win, and he really hasn't pitched that great. The last time he got the Mets touched him up was here. They give up 4 runs in 6 innings.
Phillies rotation is dominated by young starting pitching, and they've lost a couple of those guys for the season. Aaron Nola, Zach Eflin, both out for the year. But while they pitched well as a group early in the year, right now Hellickson is the only guy they've got going in a positive direction. The Phillies overall starting pitching in August has a 7.12 ERA, but Hellickson has run against that trend. And Reyes strikes out on the changeup, and Hellickson has a strikeout to start his night.
Well, there's the circle change, and it gets Jose to chase out of the strike zone. And we'll take a look at your Philly defense, and that's also brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Jimmy Paredes gets the start in left field. Same quartet out there on the infield as last night. Cameron Rupp behind the plate again. Ryan Howard, of course, is the only remaining player from those great Philly teams.
Asdrubal Cabrera with a base hit on the first pitch he sees from Hellickson. And Cabrera continues his red-hot hitting.
Well, he has just come off the DL and has been terrific. Changeup, stays back. Lucky was in a good spot. That ball gets over the middle. He might have lost it.
Cabrera is now hitting .414 since coming off the disabled list. 2 homers last night, hit him from both sides of the plate. First time in his career he had done that. And now here's Cespedes with the runner aboard, and like Cabrera, Cespedes has been raking since his return. 7 games since his return from the disabled list, and Cespedes hitting .345.
Well, that's usually what happens when you score 5+ runs per game. You got your big bats producing.
But as we talked about in the open, it's not as though everybody in the lineup is contributing. And you know, with Bruce, who was supposed to be such a key part to the lineup, particularly to hit behind Cespedes to give him some protection, and that just hasn't happened yet. So Bruce is sitting. Granderson has dropped down in the order. It's it out to right field. Hit near the edge of the warning track to Altair, and that's the second out. And Cabrera back to first. So now Neil Walker, who made his return from paternity leave in last night's game and went 1 for 3.
Well, we know that he has been red hot since he broke out of that slump, hitting over .400. He missed a few games because of his wife having the baby, but he's back.
And he missed a few games before that because of the back problems. And what's been interesting is he's been able to maintain the hot streak even with those absences. Who's Hot is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance, and that's hot. And that's for a solid month.
It's a disco inferno.
Burn, baby, burn. Fastball by Hellickson, 0-2. Jeremy Hellickson having his best year since 2012, his second year with Tampa Bay. Last couple of years have been difficult for Hellickson. ERA's up over 4 in Tampa and in Arizona. Last year 9-12, 4.62 with the Diamondbacks in his 1 year there. Of course, that's not a very friendly pitching environment, but then again, neither is Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is a bandbox as well.
Cabrera at first with 2 down. 0-2 to Walker. And Neal wastes the changeup away. Mets have 3 switch hitters in their lineup, and all 3, Reyes, Cabrera, and Walker, have hit significantly higher from the right side of the plate. One of the reasons the Mets in general have fared better against lefties than they have against righties. In Walker's case, it's a complete reversal from his previous splits, but this year hitting .330 from the right side, just .262 left-handed. Rupp goes down to get it. Ball and 2 strikes.
Playing Walker on the infield. Slight pull on the left side of the infield. The shortstop Freddie Galvis up the middle. Franco at third base, taking away that hole, and a little bit of pull, shade of pull by Cesar Hernandez at second base. One-two coming, and Walker nubs one. It goes foul.
Boy, Hellickson throws a lot of changeups.
Yes, he does, and he's got the Mets a little out in front right now. The only guy he really hasn't fooled with it, Gary, is that man on first base who's red hot. Drupal Cabrera.
Well, the Mets have got a lot of success against Hellickson. 5 career starts. He has an ERA over 7. And one of the reasons is in his 25 career innings against the Mets have hit 9 home runs. Very much like last night's starter, Adam Morgan, who the Mets have torched for a lot of long balls.
In his 3 starts this year, he's given up 5 home runs in 16 innings pitched, Gary.
Walker lays off again. 2-2. Hellickson has given up 21 home runs this year in 150 innings, so it's not just the Mets. And the Phillies have given up the 2nd most home runs of any staff in the National League. They are minus 41 in home runs this year, for and against. The Mets are plus 48 home runs, for and against. 2-2, and that's inside. So after Hellickson got a hit on Walker 0-2, Neal works the count full. Remember the at bat that Walker had last night against Morgan right before the Wilmer Flores grand slam. Similar to this.
A different pitcher out there than Morgan last night. Morgan, 26 years old and not polished like Hellickson.
Cabrera getting set to run. 3-2 to Walker. And Neal takes low and away, ball 4. 3-2 changeup from Hellickson. So Hellickson got ahead 0-2 and lost him to a walk. Hellickson normally not a guy who walks a lot. 2.0 walks per 9 innings, 7th best mark in the league.
Yeah, that's only his 34th walk of the year, Gary, and 150 2/3. That's pretty good.
So James Loney comes to bat with 2 out and 2 on. James didn't start last night against the lefty, but 2 nights ago in St. Louis went 3 for 5.
It's kind of a breakout game for him. He struggled. There's the hair. He struggled on the road trip, went into a slump, and that was kind of a bust-out game for him in St. Louis.
Well, the cure for what else Loney is generally seeing Adam Wainwright on the mound. It's amazing what he's done against Wainwright. Went 2 for 3 against him in that game. 18 for 34 in his career. Limited bats against Hellickson, but he's 2 for 5 against him. 2 on and 2 out. Hellickson really taking his time. And Loney takes the first pitch changeup for a strike. For the season, Hellickson has thrown his changeup 25% of the time. Feels as though he's thrown almost half of his pitches for changeups so far in this first inning. Cabrera at second, Walker at first with 2 out. And Loney fouls back the fastball, 0-2.
Well, is ahead in the count again. Beautiful night for baseball.
Mets didn't gain any ground in the wild card race last night despite their win. Every team in front of them won as well. St. Louis, Miami, Pittsburgh. Giants. In the dirt and knocked down by Rupp. A ball on 2 strikes. They're the wild card standing. St. Louis is going to start Alex Reyes tonight. Kid from Elizabeth, New Jersey. His first major league start. He looked so impressive in relief against the Mets earlier in the week.
And Pittsburgh has some issues, Gary.
Garrett Cole's going to see the doctor about his elbow. Going to miss his start Monday. It certainly is an issue for them.
That's the team I'm worried about.
Well, if they get McCutchen going, that's huge. And he's been better the last few days. Inside to Loney, and again Hellickson, after getting ahead on the count, dabbles with the corners, and now it's 2-2.
It almost makes me feel that he's missing on purpose. Doesn't want to get the out with the fastball in. Really wants to get you with the changeup. Very shallow outfield the Phillies are playing up against Loney. I think way too shallow.
2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Loney. And that fastball is inside. And now another full count. So twice in a row, Hellickson has got to hit 0-2, only to run the count fully. Walk Walker. De Aza would be next.
And a red-hot De Aza. Now 3-2 on Walker. He dropped the changeup on him to walk him. Let's see what he does with Loney.
So Cabrera and Walker will be in motion. Laborious first inning for Hellickson, but he has a chance to get through it. His 22nd pitch. And Loney grounds one down at first. Howard's got it. And that retires the side. So the Mets get a couple of men on. Can't bring them in. No score after 1 at Citi Field. Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. MLB.TV Premium includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Traffic seems to be flowing smoothly.
Outstanding. Saturday.
Everybody coming into the city for their Saturday evening experience.
Nice pleasant drive to the ballpark today.
Weekend before Labor Day weekend. Maikel Franco leads off in the second against Syndergaard and takes a two-seam fastball for a strike. Franco had his 8-game hitting streak stopped last night, went 0 for 4. 22 home runs this year in his first full big league season. He missed half the season last year. And a good breaking ball by Syndergaard has him in front 0-2. Syndergaard breaking out his curveball early in this game. His last start against San Francisco, he was in a tremendous pitcher's duel with Jeff Samardzija, who no-hit the Mets for the first 6 innings. There's a curveball popped up in the shallow right. And Granderson puts it away, 1 out. But, you know, Syndergaard matched zeros with Samardzija until the Mets broke through. Cespedes hit a home run, and that was enough for Syndergaard to win. Samardzija came back last night and threw 7 more scoreless innings against the Braves, and the Giants won 7-0.
They need that from Samardzija. He's always been kind of a 500 pitcher.
He's an interesting guy. He's got great stuff, but for some reason,
secondary pitches, he hasn't got great command. And that's been his issue. He's a hard thrower.
There's Ryan Howard. He takes a fastball for a strike. Howard 0 for 3 last night.
Big.
But he has been hitting much better this last month.
He is the last man standing from that Philly World Series team.
2008 world champions.
lost to the Yankees in what year they lose to the Yankees?
09.
That's right, the next year.
That beat Tampa Bay for the championship in 2008. And Howard, the last man from that team. Those are his career numbers. 376 home runs. 9 times he's hit 20 home runs. He's got 19 this year. And Syndergaard paints the inside corner, gets Howard for his first strikeout of the night. 2 out.
Catches the inside corner.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Cameron Rupp, who was 0 for 4 last night. And the fastball taken low. The Dodgers beat the Cubs this afternoon in a battle of division leaders. The 19-year-old Julio Urias.
Cubs haven't been losing much lately.
Well, they were 37 games over 500 going in to play today after Chris Bryant's late heroics last night. Hit a homer in the 8th and then the game-winning home run in the 10th. But the Dodgers got even today. Banks went off his leg, a foul ball, 2-1. Jimmy Paredes would be next.
Cubs would have to win 26 of their remaining 34 games to win 108 games. Ronnie and I always keep track of that from that 86 year when we won 108.
Well, there have been teams do that since.
Yes. Yes.
Including the Mariners, because they won 116 but didn't get to the World Series.
They got knocked off by the Yankees.
Syndergaard behind 3-1. And Rupp takes a fastball for a strike, 3-2. Syndergaard's already walked a batter tonight. Walked 2 in 8 innings in his last start. Three-two coming. And Rupp fouls off the fastball at 100 miles an hour.
That's one thing he hasn't lost all this year. When he had the little rough patch, he lost command of his slider. And he was spiking it a lot and therefore having prolonged counts. But I think he's made the adjustment. He's found the range.
And he strikes out Rupp at 100 miles an hour. Back-to-back strikeouts for Syndergaard to finish the 2nd inning. Noah's got it working tonight. field. Alejandro De Aza will lead off for New York. Well, Hernandez and I don't know. It's like you and me.
Trying to figure that out. That's an awful big 17.
Like it's up in lights or something. Here's De Aza, who came off the bench last night, had 2 plate appearances. Night before had a career high 5 RBIs in St. Louis. A tremendous month of July. Had been cool in August until recently.
He's not having a bad August either, Gare. Driven in 11 runs in 23 games in August. Remember that first half of the season. In 73 games, now granted he was off the bench and he didn't start that much, but he only drove in 7 runs in the first half. So he's really kind of been very, very helpful for this club in this push late for the wild card.
Well, the Mets have an odd situation in their outfield that has arisen again. Early in the season, Juan Lagares was here to play against left-handers and play center field. Lagares went down with thumb surgery. Mets picked up Justin Ruggiano. He got hurt. He came back. Now Ruggiano's on the DL again, and the Mets again don't have a right-handed player to play center field, which leaves De Aza or Granderson, or when he comes back, Michael Conforto to play center field. And one of those left-handed bats will have to play against left-handers.
It's too bad about Ruggiano. I just thought he brought a little some intensity. He plays very intense, and it's just a shame he got hurt again. Oh, Will Little there. He went up and said he flinched. He wanted to call it a strike. Hellickson thought he had it.
Well, the curveball appeared to go around the plate. 3rd straight full count for Hellickson. Curtis Granderson on deck. And he strikes out De Aza with a fastball. 2nd strikeout for Hellickson.
Well, Hellickson's not a strikeout pitcher. Ball was outside. He think he's chased. He asked home plate umpire Will Little if it was a strike when he was after the swing. A little bit outside.
So 1 out of the home second. And Curtis Granderson, who finds himself in an unfamiliar spot in the batting order, batting 7th tonight. Not the first time in his career he's hit 7th, but it's his first time in 3 years as a Met that he's ever been asked to hit 7th. Things have not gone well for Curtis over the last 30 games, hitting 168. And it's going to be fascinating coming down the stretch of this season where every game is meaningful. I mean, tonight you got Bruce on the bench, you got Granderson in the 7 hole. It'll be interesting to see who plays and how much of the Mets lineup on a nightly basis becomes a strict meritocracy. Granderson lifts one to shallow center. Herrera comes in to call. And that's the 2nd out. Around the Majors brought to you by TD Bank, America's most convenient bank. Well, big day of baseball in New York today. Yankees played this afternoon, and the legend that is Gary Sanchez just continues to grow. First player in Major League history to hit 11 home runs in his first 23 games. And keep in mind, 2 of those games were last year when he had a total of only 2 at-bats. So he's really done it in 21 games. It's fascinating what this kid has done. Remember, he made his debut against the Mets, right? His season debut when the Mets played at Yankee Stadium.
Got his first major league hit against the Mets.
Here's Rene Rivera with 2 out and nobody on. Rivera continues to be the personal catcher for Noah Syndergaard, and that's going well. But Rivera's also been able to chip in other ways. Night before last in St. Louis, he put the game away with a big 2-run hit in the 9th inning. 40th start of the year for Rivera. Mets are now a 2 Rivera team again, with TJ rejoining the team, replacing Ruggiano on the roster. TJ Rivera was out at about 2:30 this afternoon, taking about 100 fly balls in center field. We were talking about the Mets not having a right-handed bat in center, and the Mets don't know if T.J. Rivera can play center field, but they're going to give him some fly balls and see if it's possible. 2-1 to Rene Rivera.
Well, that's the Mets have an overload of left-handers, and they just the injury to there's TJ right there. The injury to Gruziano is just very unfortunate because he was going to play center field against the left-handers. There was going to be a platoon.
The silver lining for the moment. As Rivera takes one the other way for a 2-out hit. And the Mets have their second hit of the night. The silver lining is it doesn't look like the Mets are going to face another lefty starter for at least a week or so. So it gives them some time to give TJ some fly balls, see if that's possible. Bring Conforto back when the rosters expand, which is Thursday, right? September 1st.
Yes, there will be some players up. That's for sure. Mr. Conforto will be one of them.
And he's been tearing it up in AAA since his last demotion. Now Syndergaard, 3 home runs this year, including a bomb in Arizona 2 starts back. All 3 of his home runs this year have been on the road, 2 at Dodger Stadium, 1 in Arizona, so he's been a Pacific time zone power threat. However, his first big league home run last year came here, and it was a thing of beauty. 430 feet to center field. Ellison gets the strike call, 1-1. Noah has 6 hits this year. 5 of the 6 are for extra bases, 2 doubles, and the 3 home runs.
7 guys in the lineup for the Mets are left-hand hitters. A couple switches in there, but from the left side against Hellickson.
That's yanked foul.
And Hellickson, as a result, his first time through the order, has been pitching in to establish inside to the left-hand hitters. If he wants to throw that changeup, which is his effective out pitch, he's going to have to pitch inside.
Cespedes and Rivera, the only 2 right-hand batters in the lineup for the Mets tonight. 1-2 from Hellickson. And Syndergaard checks his swing, and he stopped it in time. Good block by Rupp to keep Rivera from moving up 2-2.
Did not. A lot of deep counts early with Hellickson.
He's about to throw his 40th pitch. With 2 out in the second inning. And Syndergaard goes down on the changeup, and that retires the side. 3 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Hellickson. No score at Citi Field. Dell Sporting Goods, your fan gear headquarters. Come on, Met fans, you got to go to Moe's. At the Citi Field Saturday, September 17th, the Mets play the Minnesota Twins. It's true, the Mets play the Twins in 7-10 on the 17th of September. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Jacob deGrom hair hat. I didn't make that up. A Jacob deGrom hair hat, courtesy of Geico. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. So I guess it's a hat and it's got the hair hanging down.
Yes, I think it's a great idea.
Now you should have a choice though of a deGrom, Syndergaard, or Gesellman hair hat.
Well, Gesellman is more straight, his hair. Syndergaard is blonde, obviously, and I think the longest of all the hair. And deGrom, of course, blows out like a mushroom.
Gesellman will make his first major league start tomorrow afternoon and his first home appearance at Citi Field after a very impressive relief debut in St. Louis. Jimmy Paredes leading off in the third inning. Paredes playing left field today. Paredes has been well traveled this season. Began the year in the Baltimore organization. Toronto got him on waivers. He was with them for about 2 weeks. And then the Phillies got his contract in a cash deal on June 1st. 57 games with the Phillies, .227 average. He had a very good year in Baltimore last year. Hit .275. Did a lot of DHing for the Orioles. Grounded to the right side, and Walker shuffles over and throws out Paredes one away. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Freddie Galvis. Galvis hitting 8th in the order tonight. Went 0 for 3 last night. Hitting just .232 this year with a .265 on base percentage. The Phillies as a team have the lowest on base percentage in the National League. Their team on base percentage is under 300, .299.
They got a bunch of free swingers and guys that like to hit the first pitch. Oh,
see, made you liar. They do that to me all the time.
I feel like Ralph Cramden.
The Phillies are next to last in the National League in runs per game. Only the Braves have scored less.
You're 11th in home runs in that ballpark. That's tough to do.
One to Galvis. Syndergaard threw a lot of changeups in his last start in San Francisco, more than is his norm. It was an effective pitch for him in those 8 scoreless innings. Comes back with the fastball and it's fouled off 2-2.
Well, Syndergaard's going for his 12th win here and trying to keep pace with Bartolo Colon, who won his 12th last night. More importantly, help his team keep pace.
Hooked in the air, deep right field, headed back toward the corner. That ball is out of here. Freddie Galvis with his 14th home run of the year tucks one into the right field corner to give the Phillies a 1-0 lead. Looks like a curveball from Syndergaard, and Galvis just able to hook it into the right field seats.
Didn't get it in enough. It was down, Gary, and had a good break, but it was over the middle, inner half. And here it is right here. And not much of a break to it. Kind of just wristed it over that right field wall. You wouldn't think Galvis has that kind of power. 14 home runs.
That's the way Chase Utley used to do it in this ballpark.
It's true.
10th home run allowed by Syndergaard in 150 innings this year, so he's been excellent at keeping the ball in the ballpark.
Now that's going to make Galvis happy, and that man unhappy.
Jeremy Hellickson has 6 hits this year, and he takes a fastball for a strike, 1-2. started his career in the American League. Hellickson's not a bad hitter. And he hits one just foul outside the bag. First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Not surprising that Hellickson would be a good hitter. He is a terrific athlete. He could have been a Big Ten basketball player. Iowa recruited him to play baseball and basketball, but he turned it down. Hellickson goes down looking. Third strikeout for Syndergaard.
Well, I think as we're getting further along, I mean, most of the athletes played multiple sports, and we're kind of getting away from that, and that's something I don't agree with. I think that these kids concentrating on just one sport, I don't think it's healthy. I think it's good to play as 3 sports, play sports year round. You need a break.
Well, I think also a lot of physiologists will tell you that when you play different sports, you use different muscles, and if you play one sport year round, you're more likely to break down.
And it's a different conditioning for each sport, Gary. I remember coming out of football. When in football, you do all kinds of running and sprints and mountain climbers and all that stuff, and you go to right into basketball and you couldn't run up and down the floor. It's a whole different ball of wax.
It's interesting you say that. When I used to cover high school sports, that's exactly what the basketball coaches would say. The kids who were coming out of football into basketball, he said, were totally not in basketball shape, even though they'd been working out for months.
I would come out of football, and I couldn't play a full game. A coach would have to ease me in and get my. Remember the suicides in basketball? Those killed me. And you're talking about a 16, 17-year-old kid. You know, not like, oh boy, that got in there. Somehow it always manages to miss or not go in there and tear someone up. I think everybody's okay down there.
One and 2 to Hernandez. And fastball inside, 2-2.
I've been to Philadelphia. The fans are dead there.
Really? Okay. Thank you for that comment.
A travel log from the Pepsi Port or the Coca-Cola corner. Off the corner, and it's 3-2 to Hernandez. Three-2 coming. And there's ball 4. Second walk given up by Syndergaard. Both have gone to Hernandez. So 2 out and a runner on, and now Odubel Herrera, who hit the ball sharply to third, and Reyes made a nice play to get a fielder's choice in the first inning. Phillies have taken a 1-0 lead here in the third on Freddie Galvis' home run. There goes the runner. The throw by Rivera, and Hernandez just gets his hand in safe.
Oh, let me tell you something. That was nothing Rivera could do there. Look how quick he is out of the chute. He's already in position of the backhand and gets rid of it and throws a dart right there, but just too good a jump.
Fourteenth stolen base of the year for Cesar Hernandez.
He's quick, isn't he? It's all about acceleration. All the great base stealers, the first 2 steps, it's like 0 to 60 in 4 seconds in an automobile, whatever it is.
We'll say this, though, at least they're not running blind anymore.
Right.
There's a much greater awareness by Syndergaard of the running game, and Rivera's giving him a chance to make up some ground. 41 steals now against Syndergaard this year.
A different angle here. Nothing you can do there as far from the catchers. He got rid of it as fast as he could. No wasted motion. Perfect strike.
And that's how he threw on Nunez in San Francisco in Syndergaard's last start. Similar throw. Change up in for a strike, 1-2. Keith, you need to haul some stuff.
No, I'm kind of ignoring that lately. How about you?
Well, we can help you move.
Yeah, but it's a walk-up.
Just a couple of big chests. There's the 1-2. Broken back grounder. Walker's got it. And he gets Herrera by a stride to end the inning. Freddie Galvis with his 14th home run gives the Phillies a 1-0 lead.
Discrepancy there.
But Mr. Hellickson would say, who's winning?
But I would say you've got 8 more innings to pitch.
We're going to play 10 tonight?
Oh, my math's awful. 7. You're right.
Jose Reyes struck out his first time up. Second time through the order for Hellickson. And that's line to left center field. And it'll fall for a base hit. So Reyes is on to start the third. The Mets' third hit of the night. And Reyes just continues to enhance his August numbers. Going to bring up Asdrubal Cabrera, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, last night Asdrubal Cabrera hit a home run from both sides of the plate. First time in his career that he had done that, and fellow switch hitter Neil Walker was particularly impressed. He said, I don't think people quite understand just how difficult doing something like that is. You switch sides of the plate in the middle of the game. It's almost like you're starting from scratch. You need to get your timing back, and generally you want to wait for the first pitch just to see it, but you're making the switch because there's a new pitcher in, and sometimes with relief pitchers the best pitch to hit is the first pitch of the at-bat. So it's a very difficult thing. You're behind the 8 ball a little bit, and Neil Walker called it the holy grail for switch hitters, doing what Asdrubal Cabrera did.
Well, he was the first Mets switch hitter to ever hit home runs from both sides in the same game at Citi Field. The last Met to do that at home was Tony Clark, who now leads the Players Union. It was in 2003 at Shea. Reyes was running that first pitch. Cabrera swung. I don't know if that was designed as a hit and run, or
I think it was a straight steal, Gary. I didn't see Jose looking back.
So you would think. Cabrera hits one deep to left center field, headed back toward the wall. It's out of here. Asdrubal Cabrera raging hot, a 2-run homer to put the Mets in front. 2 home runs last night, number 16 tonight, and the Mets lead 2-1.
Well, he went with the pitch here, Gary. This is a good pitch. Little sink, knee-high outside corner, right with it, the opposite gap, and really phenomenal tear Cabrera is on.
Nice catch, too. Well, last night he hit one right-handed to right center. Tonight he hits one left-handed to left center. And the Mets are off and running. Here's Cespedes. He hit one to right field that was caught his first time up. And Cabrera just on an incredible roll since returning from the disabled list. In 8 games, he's 13 for 30. That's a .433 average with 3 homers and 9 RBIs in those 8 games.
Right on time on this stretch run. We are in the stretch run here.
You know, the interesting thing, and they talk about this with pitchers. They've been part of the conversation with DeGrom and the fact that he's probably going to miss a start on Monday. You know, Cabrera appeared to be wearing down before he went on the disabled list with the knee injury. Missed about 3 weeks. And maybe that's a blessing in disguise this time of year to be out that long and then come back fresh.
Yeah, but it was a real tenuous time for the ball club when he was out along with the other guys. And here's the contact on the home run. And that's just, look at the eye on the ball, shoulder in, look at the stride. Well done. That's how you drive a ball to the opposite field.
Cespedes fouled off a 3-0 pitch. Now in 3-1, he takes one outside for ball 4. So 3 straight Mets have reached base to start this 3rd inning. Second walk given up by Hellickson.
And the underlying thing that happened to start this inning was the inning prior with Rene Rivera getting a base hit with 2 outs to get the pitcher up to get Jose leading off. Jose gets a base hit. You're worried about the stolen base. The pitcher's more inclined to throw fastballs. Cabrera gets a fastball. Boom, like that. It's 2-1.
You know, it's funny because right before Cabrera hit the home run, I was going to ask you whether with Reyes running, Cabrera should have taken that first pitch to give him a chance to steal. But what you just said makes a lot of sense. Even if you have a base stealer like Reyes, what it does is create fastball counts, and as a hitter, you want to take advantage of it.
Right, and I remember this because Lou Brock told me when he was hitting leadoff and I was hitting 3rd, we'd go into towns and go, Keith, if you see a fastball you like, you're going to get a lot of fastballs. Don't take for me to steal a base. So I remembered that, Gary.
Walker fouls off the changeup, and it's 0-2. Well, Hellickson, who has had a devil of a time against the Mets. This is now his 6th career start. ERA over 7 coming into the night against the Mets. He's now given up 10 home runs to the Mets in 28 innings. This is inside to Walker. Remember, first at bat, Walker fell behind 0-2 and then worked his way back to a walk.
Hellickson's trying to throw inside to the lefties. They're going to double up back in there, Gary.
Did that successfully against Loney earlier. Walker fouls it off. Cutter that time from Hellickson.
He's not happy. He missed over the plate. Well, Cespedes, I'm sorry, Gary. Cespedes, if it steal bases, is not any threat to steal with that quad.
No. Walker fouls it off. I think the mode that Cespedes is in right now, we've seen this since he came back from the DL. He will go hard when he has to.
Right.
I mean, that play where he went first to third in St. Louis the other day.
So he's a very smart player in every aspect of the game. He's very intelligent as a hitter, as a base runner, as an outfielder. He never throws to the wrong base. A well-rounded player, quality player.
Walker takes the changeup, and again he's worked it back to 2-2. Very similar at bats so far for Neal. While Hellickson's pitch count continues to elevate. 55 pitches with nobody out in the third. Another one inside.
He's just missing.
I mean, we talk all the time about pitchers having to pitch inside, but he keeps missing inside.
With certain hitters, the better hitters, he's missing inside, trying to be too Larry Fine of the Stooges. See if Cespedes is in motion here. He wouldn't have to run full steam.
3-2, nobody out. Not going, and the curveball misses for ball 4. So twice in a row, Hellickson has gotten ahead on Walker 0-2, and each time he's lost him to an 8-pitch walk. Now back-to-back walks put 2 men on, and Bob McClure, Keith's old Little League rival, will come out to the mound.
Old Bobby, 1 year older than me.
When did you meet him for the first time? How old would you have been?
Bob, I was like 8. At least 8. I know that he played for Sun Valley Dairy when I played for Lindemar Realty when I was 8 years old. He was 9.
Did he throw hard?
Yeah, he can throw hard. And then when we got out of Little League and we went to Pony League, which was 13, 14-year-olds, and he played where you had a lead. He had the pickoff move that he had his whole career.
Oh.
Even back then.
Did he get you?
My dad always called us that it was a balk move.
Did he get you?
I stayed so close to that bag.
You know, when you have a pitcher with that great a balk move, a great pickoff move, left-hander, I always go back to when the Mets had Kenny Rogers and they played the Braves in the 1999 League Championship Series, and Andrew Jones stood at first base like it was Little League. He didn't take a lead. Kept his foot on the bag the entire time.
Yep. Oh, did he?
I've never seen anybody else do that against any other pitcher, but Andrew he wasn't going to mess around. He knew that Kenny Rogers had such a good move. He did not take a lead. It was like we were in Williamsport. Only takes low and away for ball 1.
All of a sudden, Hellickson's got himself in some hot water here. Base hit, home run, and then 2 walks. And he needs a double play here. This is a situation, a left-hand hitter, you're just going to sit on that outside corner and you think left center field because he's trying to get a ground ball.
Cespedes at second, Walker at first, nobody out. And Loney hits one foul. Loney came up with 2 out and 2 on in the first inning, worked the count full, but then grounded out to first base. Hellickson's about to throw his 60th pitch with nobody out in the third.
Well, he's a guy that's got to be fine, and he's much better served against a free swinging ball club, a Pittsburgh Pirate team, which is one of the better hitting teams.
He threw a gem against the Cardinals last time out, gave up just 2 runs in 7 innings. Struggling tonight. And Loney laces one toward left center, but overcomes Paredes, and he's got it for the first out of the inning. So 1 away. And now De Aza, who struck out his first time up. Reyes started the inning with a base hit. Cabrera a 2-run homer, then back-to-back walks to Cespedes and Walker. 1 out now for De Aza. And And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Diaz is the only guy he's thrown the curveball over for a strike. He's got a decent curveball. He's got a good, what would you call it, 1 o'clock to 7, but he's only gotten it over on Diaz both at bats. Now he's working ahead of the count again, Gare.
He's been ahead of the count all night. Just hasn't been able to put people away. Diaz batting here with 2 men on. Had 2 3-run homers. 1 in each of the last 2 series. 1 in San Francisco and 1 in St. Louis. That'll get you a lot of RBIs in a hurry.
Boy, I tell you what, Hellickson is just taking his time here, waiting for the 310 to Yuma.
It's always late. On the scoreboard, Miami and San Diego, no score in the 4th. Milwaukee leads Pittsburgh 5-1 in the 4th. Hernan Perez hit 2 home runs off Jameson Taillon in that game. And the Cardinals are up 2-0 on the A's. That's in the 4th. So Alex Reyes off to a good start in his first starting assignment. And that one kicks off the shin guard of Rupp, but he keeps it close enough so Cespedes can't make a break.
Nice block by Rupp there. Rupp, for a big guy, he's pretty mobile back there. He's in a good position to move there. Nice block.
Good base running by Cespedes, who saw immediately that ball was going to stay close to Rupp. 1-2 now to Diaz with Granderson on deck. A broken back grounder, run down by Hernandez, gets the middle runner for the second out. So Walker is erased. Cespedes goes to third, 2 out of the inning.
Nice play by Hernandez to get the lead runner. And very heads up by Galvis. No chance to get Diaz. And this is what Hellickson has to do to the left-handers. He has to go after them inside. There he jams, pitched Diaz tough. Good sequence of pitches.
So now runners at the corners with 2 out for Granderson. Flied out to center field his first time up. So a 2-out RBI chance near the bottom part of the batting order for Curtis in his first game in the 7-hole, and he nubs one foul. Two outs and runners in scoring position. It's almost have to turn away.
That's it's been a tough year for Curtis. It's very tough. Just can't get on track this year.
20 home runs, which is great. 34 RBIs, which is stunning. Cespedes at third, Diaz at first with 2 out. And Granderson goes after the changeup 0-2. And you know, when you consider the home run RBI ratio for Granderson, keep in mind one of his home runs was a grand slam. So it has just been torturous for him trying to get runs in.
Oh, he almost didn't step over. Almost didn't step over.
Diaz is running. The pitch outside. Rupp's throw to second is not in time. Diaz steals his 4th base of the year. And now there are 2 in scoring position.
Well, these are all the things that Diaz can do and bring to the plate. not home plate. And he just wasn't able to display these things because he just had such a poor first half. But boy, in the second half, he has been contributing nicely.
Well, it's gotten to play more, and he's played better as he's played more, which has gotten him more playing time. It's funny how that works. 1-2 to Granderson, and Curtis goes down on the changeup to end the inning. So Hellickson avoids further trouble, but the Mets get the lead as Dribble Cabrera's third home run in 2 nights. 2-run shot as he takes one the other way. 16 on the year for Cabrera, and a 2-1 Met lead after 3. Brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Hurry into your local Tri-Honda dealer for great savings on 2016 models. We go to the 4th inning. Mets with the lead for the first time as Noah Syndergaard faces 3, 4, and 5 in the Phillies batting order.
Look at that beautiful ballpark right there. Nice.
Aaron Altair lined into a double play his first time up. Altair, Franco, and Howard for the Phillies. We've got a home run from Freddie Galvis to get on the board first in the top of the 3rd. Trumped by the Mets shortstop as Dribble Cabrera with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 3rd. By the way, Cabrera with the 2 home runs last night went a place where few Mets shortstops have gone. Granderson over toward the line. And wheels in Altair's fly ball for the first out. Cabrera became the first player in Mets history to have 2 multiple home run games in the same season. In fact, his 2 multiple home run games are now 2nd on the Mets career list for shortstops. Only 1 shortstop in Mets history has more than 2 multiple home run games, and that's Jose Reyes, who's done it 7 times. Cabrera's done it twice. No other Mets shortstop in history has done it more than once.
Well, Buddy Harrelson all those years was not a home run hitter. Buddy was a table setter, a very good one indeed.
Rafael Santana hit a lot of home runs.
Well,
Kevin Elster hit home runs after he left the Mets.
Yep.
Not so many for the Mets. Frankie Tavares was a base stealer.
Another table setter, Frankie Tavares.
Ordonez hit his 1 home run a year.
Right.
And he always hit it in September.
Really?
Yeah. Teddy Martinez, Ron Gardenhire.
Teddy Martinez.
Rod Kniehl. Kath Matsui.
Yeah.
He'd hit one
opening day.
First at bat.
Twice.
First pitch he ever saw in the major leagues, leading off the season in Atlanta against Russ Ortiz. He hit one over the center field fence. 1-2 coming. And Franco reaches for the slider and fouls it at the plate.
Franco hasn't looked good up at the plate, and he's a very dangerous hitter. 22 home runs. 74 RBIs or 71, but anyway, right around there. And he doesn't look comfortable at the plate. Like 72 RBIs, excuse me. Mets have kept him off balance.
Syndergaard's 1-2. Fouls it away at 98.
It's a good pitch right there. 1-2 up in the strike zone. Up and down the ladder.
And he strikes him out with a slider. 93-mile-an-hour slider. The fourth strikeout of the night for Syndergaard.
Well, that was a good sequence there. You get ahead. Syndergaard don't need to throw a strike. 1 and 2. Free swinger like Franco.
So Franco now 0 for 6 in the series. 2 out and nobody on for Ryan Howard, who went down looking his first time up. Phillies' only hit was the Galvis home run in the 3rd inning. Syndergaard has walked 2, struck out 4, and Howard grounds 1 foul.
There you go, slugger. Get your major league ball. That's right.
Mom will be showing you that picture when you're 30 and 40 and 50.
Well, you might. Oh, let's see if he has it when he's that old. See if he goes plays in the street with it. Play it in the street and rough it up.
Always have the picture.
Yeah, you always have the picture. Huh.
Ever catch a foul ball?
Nope.
As a fan?
Nothing came remotely close, Garrett.
Howard goes after the high fastball. 1-2.
Good fastball upstairs. Even in Howard's heyday, that's where you could get him. Up out of the strike zone, get him to chase. It's a triple shakeoff there, huh?
Well, he's got 4 pitches. 5 if you count the 2-seamer and the 4-seamer.
Slider.
Seems like a good choice. Buries it in the dirt. 2-2. He's got the hard slider tonight. Remember that first start of the year when he faced the Royals and he threw the slider at 95?
Yes, and George Brett remarked in the paper the next day that I couldn't have hit those. That's quite a compliment.
2-2 to Howard, and he struck him out with the slider. Back-to-back strikeouts for Syndergaard. He's got 5 in the first 4 innings. And he's got himself a 2-1 lead going to the bottom of the 4th at Citi Field. One as we go to the bottom of the fourth. A little popcorn on a Saturday night.
Brother and sister.
Do you like your popcorn straight, or do you like?
What do you mean by straight?
Well, just a little salt, a little butter. Do you prefer a little Parmesan cheese, a little cayenne pepper?
No,
maybe some caramel.
A little bit of butter and salt. I mean, you got to have popcorn. You got to have salt on the popcorn. Caramel? What are you talking about?
Caramel corn?
Oh, okay, yeah. That's different.
Talk about a sweet versus a savory. Sometimes if you combine the two, can lead to a lot of pleasure. Rene Rivera had a base hit to right field his first time up.
Like Cracker Jacks.
You know, that's Russ on cue, providing you the tools to fulfill your every dream.
What you were alluding to.
I mean, how many stage managers would have gone right to the Cracker Jack as soon as we mentioned that?
You know what I always used to do with Cracker Jacks? I'd turn them upside down because the peanuts are heavy and they always go to the bottom. But so you want to disperse them evenly around your Cracker Jacks.
I disagree with that. As Rivera grounds one down to third, and Franco takes his time and throws them out. My feeling was that the peanuts were the best part of the Cracker Jack, and I always wanted to save them for last.
No. It doesn't work though, because the minute you do this, I can't chew while I'm.
Do they still have prizes?
Sure they do.
What do you got?
Eeny beanie, chili beanie. The spirits are about to speak.
You can't find the prize.
There it is.
There we go. There's Syndergaard.
It says stick and blip it, whatever that means.
What does that mean?
I don't know. But I cut my fingernails today. I can't get after this. Okay, hold on. I'm getting there.
It's going to be a 3-inning affair here.
Here it is. It's step up to the plate, and you can blip it. So let me blip it.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I guess that's what it's got a stick 'em on it.
What's a blip?
Yeah.
See, this is where we lose touch.
Yep.
The stick part I understand. The blip part?
I don't understand. No. Back to the game. Back to the game.
Syndergaard struck out his first time up. And he drives one to right center field, deep, back toward the wall, and it bounces on the warning track. And Syndergaard has himself another extra base hit. Well, he watched Cologne last night pick up a couple of hits, including a double, and now Syndergaard has his third double of the year.
Well, Syndergaard's a hitter. And like all lefties, look at him go after that ball outside corner. Well done. Wrist, top hand.
I think you have to play him a little deeper, don't you?
I would think.
Well, he's got 7 hits this year, 3 doubles, 3 home runs. Only 1 single. Now Reyes, who singled and scored in the 3rd inning, 1 for 2. And he takes a strike from Hellickson. That's now with 5 hits on the night. And Jose bangs one up the middle for a base hit. Syndergaard will be stopped at 3rd. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out. So Reyes is 2 for 3.
Good hitting right there. Up and in fastball. Jose turns. Didn't get it in enough. Got his hands, brought his hands in to get that barrel through. Here's Jose with 2 more hits. He has been on fire.
Good charge by Herrera, which convinced Tim Teufel to stop Syndergaard. Well, Reyes with the 2 hits tonight is now hitting .351 in the month of August. So, you know, we've talked about how Cabrera and Cespedes have come back from the DL, but Reyes as well, coming back from the oblique injury, has been incredibly important.
And the red hot Cabrera at the plate.
Already 2 for 2 tonight, a single and a 2-run homer. It's a breaking ball down.
Tried something new there, and with a good eye, you're red hot. Okay, you try to throw me a curveball. I haven't seen it. I took it. I'm 1-0. What are you going to do now?
This is a pitcher that Cabrera's had a lot of success against. Now 7 for 17 against Hellickson, including that home run last time up. Syndergaard at third, Reyes at first. And Cabrera fouls one at the plate on a curveball, 1-1. Cespedes on deck. Remember earlier in the season, Cabrera had a stretch where he went 0 for 32 with runners in scoring position. Since he broke that stretch a month ago, he's 6 for his last 12 with runners in scoring position.
You see where the Pirates got back in the ball game, Gary, tied it up 5-5 in the fourth. They were down 4-1.
Reyes falling back into the bag. Pirates just took the lead in that game 6-5.
Yeah, they got a 2-out single there. McCutchen got that hit.
He's getting hot. 1-1 to Cabrera, and the curveball popped up. Bronco waits for it.
Stay with the curveball, Gare. 3 straight curves.
So Cabrera unable to get the run home. Now they're at 2 out.
Little out in front, got under it a little bit.
So it's left to Cespedes, who has flied out and walked tonight 0 for 1. Syndergaard at third, Reyes at first with 2 down. Knocked down by Rupp, who's done a lot of that tonight. By the way, if it seems to you that Hellickson takes a long time between pitches, it's not an illusion. They measure these things these days. Hellickson for the season averages 24.4 seconds between pitches, which is the 7th highest of any pitcher in the major leagues.
That's why we're 20-9 and only in the bottom of the 4th. He pitches a lot of pitches too.
David Price is the slowest worker in baseball at 25.4. Inside the Cespedes, 2-0. The fastest worker is Wade Miley, who's now with the Orioles, 17.8, and Ari Dickey is second on that list. And Steven Matz is third, 18.7. That's among starting pitchers. Dangerous spot for Hellickson behind Cespedes, 2-0. Oh, Cespedes loses the bat. Trying to catch up with that curveball and got badly fooled.
Well, 2-0. He was looking for something to wail on, maybe middle in, and he gets fooled on this breaking ball. Good one. So good, he lost his bat. Boy, did he take a cut? He takes a cut.
Well, another guy who's enjoyed hitting against Jeremy Hellickson, 5 for 13 with 2 home runs. That's trying not to waste an opportunity. A 1-out double by Syndergaard. First and third and 2 down. And Cespedes pulls one foul. 2-2.
Hellickson knows what he's doing out there, and he's the kind of pitcher that has to be right on target. I mean, he pitches deep into counts on purpose, Gary. He's what you'd call a kind of a, I don't say this disparagingly, a nibbler. He's looking to expand the strike zone on the hitter, get the hitters to swing at bad pitches.
which is fine, except if you face a team that's selective, you run up your pitch count, and that's exactly what's happened to him tonight. That's offensive approach these last 2 weeks has been vastly improved.
Wants to come in.
2-2 coming. Yanked foul. He almost took out Syndergaard. Think fast.
Away. A little late reaction.
It's a good thing he's not 6'9".
That's why you stand in foul territory on the grass.
Still hurts. 2-2 to Cespedes. Fouls off the breaking ball.
Good one there, and Cespedes staying in the at bat. If you make a mistake middle in on that breaking ball to Cespedes, you'd be doing what he did right there, rubbing up a new one.
Neil Walker would be next. That's got their 2 runs on Cabrera's home run in the second. Got the next 2 men on with nobody out, but never scored. They got the 1-out double from Syndergaard and a following single by Reyes here in the 4th. Want to try to avoid the same fate. Let Hellickson off the hook once. Now they got their big guy at the plate trying to cash in. 7th pitch of the at bat coming to Cespedes.
Fastball in.
Too high. Full count.
Another full count.
5th of the night for Hellickson. He's already walked 3, struck out 4, allowed 2 runs, 6 hits. Reyes will be running now. Howard playing behind him. Three-two coming from Hellickson to Cespedes. And he launches one deep left field. Down the line. Got it if it stays fair. It's out of here. 3-run bomb. Yoenis Cespedes, and it's 5-1 New York. Like it's nothing. Number 26 for Cespedes. And the Mets get their big bomber into the act.
A heck of an at bat. Wanted to come in with the fastball, Gary. He got it in, but it was down instead of up. And he just drops the barrel on it, and that was into the Porsche. What's it called? The Porsche porch?
The grill.
The grill? That was a bomb.
423 feet down the line. He got every bit of it. Walker breaks his bat, rolls one out to Howard. That'll end the inning, but one big swing by Yoenis Cespedes puts 3 runs on the board. Work the count to 3-2. Hellickson comes inside, and Cespedes makes no mistake, keeps it fair. 3-run homer. 5-1 New York after 4.
Great at bat.
when Cespedes is in the lineup, takes on an entirely different look, and with swings like that, you understand why.
Well, he's hitting third in the lineup, Gary, but to me, he is a right-handed cleanup hitter. And that went into the Porsche grill, the outdoor seating. Eat there at your own peril, particularly when he's up at the plate. Exit velocity, Gary?
110.
That was very scaldy dog.
Horse hide in your Chardonnay, sir. Cameron Rupp grounds one down to Reyes. Takes his time. 1 out. So Noah Syndergaard now with a 4-run lead. He spent most of that inning on the bases after he got that 3-run rally started with a double. And now back to the mound with a 4-run lead. One out and nobody on. Now Jimmy Paredes, who grounded out his first time up. Phillies have had just one hit. That was the home run by Freddie Galvis that gave them a brief 1-0 lead. In Miami, the Padres have gone in front of the Marlins 1-0 on a Ryan Schimpf home run.
Not Shrimp.
Hey, he's a little powder keg.
I know he is.
Got 16 home runs now.
I'm just joking because I messed it up, if you recall, and you had to correct me.
I just mentioned that there was no R. You don't suppose he's heard that his entire life?
Oh, I'm sure.
Paredes grounds out to Walker, and there are 2 away. Upcoming schedule brought to you by the Kia Top Quality Sales Event. One more in this series. SNY tomorrow afternoon. Robert Gazelman gets his first start against Vince Velasquez. Then the Mets welcome in the Marlins for 4 and the Nationals for 3.
And the Marlins, the Nationals have not been playing great baseball lately. They've just kind of playing at a 500 clip.
David Hernandez up in the Philly bullpen. Well, but they have an 8-game lead, so they can afford to mess around a little bit.
But that can disappear.
Galvis takes a fastball for a strike. The Nationals lost this afternoon. The Rockies scored 5 runs in the 11th inning. Charlie Blackmon, the go-ahead 2-run homer in the Rockies' 9-4 win.
Blackman's turned into a nice player, hasn't he?
He had 2 home runs today. 0-2 to Galvis. So with the Washington loss, it's now 7.5 over Miami, 9.5 over the Mets. Still substantial, but Keith is correct that the Nationals have not been playing well lately. Their defense has been shoddy.
Oh, got the umpire.
That's why they wear those
shin protectors.
Yep.
Renee, Sam, sorry.
I'll catch the next one. Galvi's got a curveball that he had out of the ballpark his first time up. I don't think Noah's thrown another one since.
It's nice to see Syndergaard back in his groove. And I said it earlier in the year, Garrett. It's been a season of ups and downs for this young staff. Ups and downs for Matz. Ups and downs for Syndergaard, as well as DeGrom. It's a big learning year for them. First full season for Syndergaard.
And the changeup strikes out Galvis. Well, in the year of ups and downs, Noah Syndergaard's 3rd in the National League in ERA. It's pretty good for ups and downs. And he's dominant again tonight. Halfway through, it's 5-1 New York. Switch. Aaron Altair moves from right field to left field. Peter Borges comes in to play right field. He'll bat ninth. And the new pitcher is David Hernandez. He'll hit in the 7 hole.
Well, David Hernandez, I remember with Arizona, really a hard thrower, but always a guy with too many walks. Workhorse, hurt his arm. Strikeout guy, too many hits this year.
Coming to face James Loney, leading off in the home 5th. Loney's 0 for 2 tonight, a ground out and a fly out. So another rough outing against the Mets for Jeremy Hellickson, whose only loss in his last 10 starts came against the Mets. And he got routed tonight. 4 innings, 5 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 2 home runs that accounted for all 5 runs.
Now in his 4 starts against the Mets this year, 7 home runs in 20 innings pitched. Garrett
popped up. The third baseman Franco gives way to Galvis, who makes the catch, 1 away. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Scott, and the Pix 11 news team with breaking news as it happens. Lyndon Church has your forecast. 6 to 9 on the Pix 11 morning news, bringing you the heart of the story. There's De who's 0 for 2. To carry it a little deeper on Hellickson. Hellickson has now made 6 starts against the Mets in his career. He's gone 29 2/3 innings and given up 11 home runs.
They have not been kind to him, obviously.
The Mets, with the 2 home runs tonight, have now hit 85 home runs at Citi Field this year, which matches the most they've ever hit in a season at Citi Field. And the Mets have 18 more home games after tonight. They hit 85 last year for the full season. That was the record. 85 this year, and certain to go well past that. De rips one foul.
Oh, he had a glove too.
Almost
clank
right there.
Oh, he's got a Blue Jay hat on.
Yeah, they're more of an offensive team. De takes outside, 2-2. Curtis Granderson on deck. And De goes down swinging on the fastball. So Hernandez has his first strikeout, and there are 2 out.
Threw it by him a little bit there.
So now Granderson, who's 0 for 2. Curtis struck out to end the 3rd inning with 2 men on. And Hernandez behind 2-0. David Hernandez, now 31 years old, first came up with the Orioles in 2009 as a starting pitcher, but quickly found his niche in the bullpen. How about this in Milwaukee? The Brewers just tied up the Pirates on a home run by the relief pitcher Tyler Cravey. Sounds like a wild game. 6-6 as they go to the 5th. Granderson hits one to center, chasing Herrera back, way back. He makes the catch. Nice play by Herrera to end the inning. Mets go out 1-2-3 against Hernandez in the 5th. Syndergaard will head back to the mound for the 6th, with the Mets sporting a 5-1 lead. Land Rover above and beyond. Phillies have had just one hit. That was the home run by Freddie Galvis that gave them a brief 1-0 lead. That was in the third. That's all that Noah Syndergaard has allowed. He's walked 2, struck out 6 through the first 5 innings. After giving up no runs and 2 hits over 8 innings in his last start. So 13 innings, 1 run, 3 hits in these last 2 games. Peter Bourjos came in a double switch, gets his first turn at bat. Started last night, went 1 for 3, and goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1.
Well, the Mets are going to make a run. These remaining 34 games. Syndergaard has to be a horse down the stretch.
Well, one thing will change for Noah in his next start. This is his last start as a 23-year-old. He turns 24 on Monday. In case you were thinking of getting him a card. Topper back to Noah. 1 out. Maybe you could buy him a nice bottle of conditioner. I know you're high on conditioner.
A book of Norse myths, Odin, all that stuff, all that good stuff.
Odin was Thor's father.
Right.
Some of those names in Norse mythology are a little hard to pronounce. Cesar Hernandez takes up and away. Hernandez has walked twice, stolen a base. Since the last walk, Syndergaard's retired 8 in a row. And again falls behind Hernandez.
It's funny how this works, huh? He's been mowing everybody else down, and the leadoff hitter Hernandez, he's walked twice and about ready to fell behind here 2-0.
Well, I'm sure he was watching last night, and Hernandez had some terrific at bats against Cologne.
Yeah, but 5-1 now. Table setter. 2-0 fastball. Here it is. Put it in play, please.
And he couldn't. 2-2.
He was a day late and a nickel short on that fastball. Just pour it in there. Be the 80th pitch for Thor.
Two-two to Hernandez, and he's late on the fastball. Two-two coming. Hit to shortstop. One hopper for Cabrera. And that's the second out. 9 in a row retired by Syndergaard. You notice the red hot National League batting race?
Yes, I did. LeMahieu made a big run.
LeMahieu and Murph went head to head today. LeMahieu went 3 for 5. Murph went 2 for 5. LeMahieu's at 347. Murph's at 346.
And Murph, remember, was up at 380. That's how hard it is to hit up in the high stratosphere of the 300s. Bring to mind George Brett, Tony Gwynn,
Rod Carew.
Of the the era outside of Ted Williams. It's just so hard. And Murph has come back a bit. I mean, come back to what, 346?
It's pretty good.
Pretty doggone
especially
good.
When you're slugging over 600.
Yes.
Drag bunt attempt by Herrera, and he fouls it off. 1-1. 2 out and nobody on. And Herrera takes below the knees with the slider. 2-1. Aaron Altair would be next. Well, the Mets' first 2 starters in this series, Colon and Syndergaard, have been the guys who've provided certainty this year. There's a lot of uncertainty to follow. Tomorrow, Robert Gsellman makes his first major league start. Monday, starter to be determined. Probably not going to be Jacob deGrom. Mets are probably going to bring up a starter. Logan Verrett, Rafael Montero, somebody of that ilk. Tuesday, Seth Lugo makes just his 3rd big league start. Wednesday, probably Steven Matz coming back from the DL. That's more uncertainty. But Syndergaard has been money in the bank. He gets Herrera on the foul pop-up. He's retired 10 in a row. Middle of the 6th at Citi Field. On a Saturday night in New York, Mets have a 5-1 lead. On last night, the top 3 in the Mets order, Reyes, Cabrera, and Cespedes, combined for 6 hits and 3 home runs. Tonight, 5 hits and 2 home runs for that trio, as Cabrera and Cespedes' home runs have combined for all 5 Met runs. Rene Rivera 1 for 2, had a base hit back in the 2nd, facing David Hernandez, who begins his 2nd inning and gets the curveball in for a strike.
You know, Gary, you mentioned about the rotation coming up with deGrom skipping a start. And Thursday night when I was off, I had dinner out in Sag Harbor at Rod Gilbert's house, the famous Mr. Rod the Rocket, the great New York Ranger, and David Cohn. And I talked to David about deGrom and missing the start. And I asked his opinion. It was very interesting what David told me. And he said, now, he goes, I was throwing 150 pitches when I was 25 and 26. He goes, that train's left the station. That's no longer. He goes, they're not conditioned, and that's been the problem with them running out of gas. But he said when he got older, he said when I was 35 and pitching, I got tired in August, and when I skipped a start, and I had 8 days off.
Rivera hits one out to center. And Herrera's got it.
David said when he got that, it was every year he would skip a start around August. He said that one skip in that 8 days, his arm came back like it was April. He said so. That's something to consider.
Well, it's certainly been the history with deGrom. If you'll recall, 2 years ago he went on the disabled list, came back, pitched brilliantly after that. Last year he went on the disabled list, came back, pitched well. Then he skipped a start later in the year and came back and pitched brilliantly into the postseason. So the history is there with Jake, that when he misses a start or two, that the results are very positive afterward. And I think in this case, where there doesn't appear to be any kind of physical issue, that the Mets are going off that history and making the decision to skip him. I mean, they've seen some mechanical things. They have the TrackMaster now, which allows them to see that his arm angle might have gone up a couple of inches. Syndergaard pops one foul. But I think really when the decision was made to skip DeGrom, it was more about looking at that history that you're talking about, that he's done so well when he's skipped a start, when he's returned to the rotation.
So basically, you just have to think in terms of you're 3.5 back. You're going to be slightly under 30 games when he comes back and pitches. Good strike right there. Syndergaard fishes for a bad slider. To have the patience for those, the one skip that he misses, and hoping that it'll carry over to the end of the year.
Yeah,
for
the
him.
hard part for the team is that it comes amidst a lot of uncertainty in other pieces of the rotation, right? With Gesellman and Lugo and somebody coming up to pitch in DeGrom's spot, and Matt's coming back from the DL. That's 4 straight games of a lot of uncertainty in the rotation. And tomorrow's the Phillies, but after that you're talking about the Marlins, a team you're trying to run down. Reyes lines out to end the inning, so 6 up and 6 down for David Hernandez, and we go to the 7th with the Mets and Syndergaard up 5-1.
Top of the 7th, and you know what that is. Then it is the line score brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. As you can see, the Mets scoring in the 3rd and 4th innings on home runs. 2-run shot by Cabrera and a 3-run shot in the following inning by Cespedes, and that is the difference in this ball game.
Aaron Altair leads off the 7th against Syndergaard, who's allowed just 1 hit tonight. And goes after the first pitch curveball. That may be the first curveball that Syndergaard's thrown since the one he threw to Galvis that went out of the ballpark in the 3rd inning. He comes right back with it and gets ahead on Altair 0-2.
Well, this has been another. It's nice to see a back-to-back solid start. Outstanding start from Syndergaard. Here we're in the 7th inning.
Slow ground ball. Cabrera throws, 1 out. That's 11 straight retired by Syndergaard with not a hard hit ball among them. Now Maikel Franco is 0 for 2 tonight, flied out and struck out. Franco now 0 for 6 in this series. Noah trying for his 12th win of the year tonight. Runs one inside on Franco. Started the night 3rd in the National League in earned run average at 2.61. Trailing only Kyle Hendricks and Madison Bumgarner.
It's interesting. Syndergaard, if you notice, curveball, another curve gear. Going back to the curve this inning, it almost looks as if Syndergaard is going to pitch from the stretch when he looks in on his sign. But it's a windup because he does put his foot back. I mean, he's look at him. He's just, and then he does the windup. It's very interesting. Oh, good pitch. Usually a pitcher is chest. He's facing the hitter. Syndergaard is facing the third base third base line.
You have to think that the simplicity of his delivery has something to do with his ability at a very young part of his career to be so precise and to have such good control.
Well, Don Sutton I talked to in early April in Atlanta, and Don loved his mechanics because of his simplicity. Now, but think about most pitchers that used to, in the old days, used to do the big windup. He doesn't get a lot of momentum. That's how strong his arm is, Garrett.
Well, if you go back to the 50s when everybody used to use the big windup,
right,
the first guy that had some success with what they called then the semi-no windup delivery was Don Larson.
Correct. He had like hardly any. Where Warren Spahn had the old-fashioned,
and Bob Feller,
yep,
and all those guys.
So I would beg to say that if Syndergaard were to do the old-fashioned windup and really get momentum going forward, how hard could he throw? I mean, it's nothing there. That's a lot of torque coming real quick.
Line drive, base hit for Franco. He has his first hit in the series, and the Phillies have their second hit of the night after Syndergaard had retired 11 in a row.
High slider right there. Stayed flat, didn't do much. Nice hitting by Franco.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Ryan Howard, who's been up twice and struck out both times, looking in the second, swinging in the fourth. It's interesting the way the Mets shift against Howard. With nobody on base, they move Reyes to the right side. But with a runner at first base, they move Cabrera over to the right side and leave Reyes alone on the left side.
Well, you got two shortstops. I wonder if Cabrera has the more experience at second base. If you're going to turn a double play, obviously the second baseman becomes Cabrera here.
I mean, they both played a little bit of second base in their
old
career.
Kaz Matsui.
Yeah, we remember. It was Reyes' one season as a second baseman, and it didn't last long. He was hurt a good portion of that year, 2004.
Excuse me, I remember when Matsui was playing shortstop in the first year, the big advertisements behind home plate, all the Japanese banks. It was a particular bank that was advertised. So Kaz brought a lot of advertisement with him. Sponsors, I should say.
If he could have brought a few more hits, that might have helped. At that time, both New York teams imported a Matsui, and well, went better for the Yankees. 1-2, and Howard chases the fastball away for strike 3. 7 strikeouts for Syndergaard. Third time he's gotten Howard.
Well, Ronnie mentioned when Syndergaard went through the little bit of a struggle that he wanted him to throw that running fastball. that ran into right-hand hitters and ran away from left-hand hitters. And there's the fastball right there. It gets Howard to fish. Good movement. And when it's coming in 98 miles an hour, 99, 100, that's a tough pitch to lay off. And speaking of 100, that was his 100th pitch.
Cameron Rupp, the batter, has struck out and grounded out. Now remember, in his last start, when Noah threw the 8 scoreless on Sunday night against the Giants, he was at 98 pitches and basically took himself out of the game. So here he is, just over 100, trying to finish the 7th, and the Mets have the bullpen cranking with Robles and Blevins up. And Rupp fouls one away. So you have to figure this is the last go-around for Syndergaard, just trying to get this 3rd out in the 7th.
Well, if he gets the 3rd out, it'll be back-to-back starts, one with 8 innings and the other with 7, only giving up 4 hits, 2 in each game.
Well, remember, it had been forever since Syndergaard had gone beyond 6 innings before that last start against the Giants. Rupp fouls it away. He had 7 straight starts where he didn't throw a pitch in the 7th inning.
That's right.
6 innings or less and 7 straight starts before that last one. So this is certainly an encouraging note, and part of that is about the fact he hasn't had all those long at bats. It's not as many foul balls. Been able to put hitters away. Rupp lifts one to right. Easy for Granderson. Side retired. Tremendous night for Noah Syndergaard. 7 innings, 1 run, 2 hits. Coming off after 7 and gets the handshake from Terry Collins. Job well done for Noah tonight. Gave up just 2 hits over 7 innings. Had a double and scored a run as well. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Mohegan Sun. Full of action, full of possibilities, full of life. Changes for the Phillies as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Tommy Joseph will take over at first base in a double switch. He'll hit in the 7th spot in the order, and the new pitcher hits 5th. That's Michael Marriott. He'll make his 9th appearance for the Phillies.
Got some locks like the Mets staff.
Just not comparable, Keith.
Oh, well,
come on.
It's also wearing the other wrong colors.
It says Dribble Cabrera to lead off against Marriott. So it's been another big night for Cabrera. A single and a 2-run homer. There are the numbers on Marriott.
Yeah, 8 games, 8 innings. So he's a 1-inning guy. Basically just called up.
He spent a couple of cups of coffee with the Kansas City Royals the last 2 years. Phillies got him on waivers last winter. Cabrera gave the Mets the lead with a 2-run homer off Jeremy Hellickson in the 3rd. Yoenis Cespedes added a 3-run homer the next inning, and the Mets were off and running, giving Syndergaard plenty of support. Now the bullpen will have to get him 6 outs. And the curveball sits high from Marriott. 2-1. No relation to the hotel chain. It's not spelled the same.
That's right. 1 R, 1 T.
His name might as well be Sheridan.
It's like W.C. Fields' Carl Lafong.
Excuse me?
That was one of W.C. Fields' lines. He was Carl Lafong, and he spelled it. I won't go into detail, but it wasn't one of his funnier ones.
I guess not. I guess you had to be there. And that's too high, ball 4, and Cabrera's on base for the 3rd time tonight. And now Cespedes will come up with a man on after clubbing one his last time up.
Well, it was a heck of an at-bat, folks. Deep in the count. Fought off some good breaking stuff, and Hellickson tried to come in and got it down instead of up. And that was a 2-iron right there. I think the exit velocity, folks, if you're interested, was, I'm not, but it was 110.
You showed enough interest to relay that. Cespedes' home run was his 26th of the year. He now has 67 driven in, and he takes a breaking ball inside. So Syndergaard is in line for his 4th win in 4 starts against the Phillies. His lifetime ERA now against the Phils is 1.38. There's only one pitcher who's won his first 4 starts for the Mets against the Phillies, and that was Steve Traxel. And Syndergaard has a chance to match that. Jim Henderson and Addison Reed up in the Mets bullpen. Who comes in might depend on whether the Mets score further here in the 7th.
It might be Henderson. Let Reed get a little breather, another day off. Day game tomorrow. I like Henderson's stuff. I have no problem bringing him in the 8th with a 4-run lead.
Two and 0 to Cespedes, and that's away. So Marriott, after walking Cabrera, goes 3-0 on Cespedes, who has already swung at a 3-0 pitch tonight. Neil Walker on deck. And this time he takes inside. Back-to-back walks for Marriott to start his stint. And the Mets have 2 men on. Now the town score is brought to you by the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Rockies got 5 in the 11th. Charlie Blackmon had 2 home runs, including the go-ahead shot as the Rockies beat the Nationals. Dodgers behind the young Julio Urias. Beat the Cubs 3-2 to even that series. Pirates are in front of the Brewers now 9-6. And they see the late games. Joey Votto has a home run in the Reds game in Arizona. Here's Neil Walker with 2 on, and the first pitch curve in for a strike. Walker's already walked twice tonight and grounded out 0 for 1.
5 walks the Mets have been issued in today's game. Ironically, 2 this inning, but the 3 prior have not scored. Usually you will have that many walks. They find a way to score.
Marriott very erratic with his breaking stuff. Ball and a strike to Walker with James Loney on deck. The score we didn't show on our scoreboard a moment ago, the Cardinals leading the A's 2-1 in the 8th. Of course, that's the team the Mets have their eye on. 3.5 behind the Cardinals for the second wild card.
You also got to keep your eye on the Giants. 1-0 at home against the Braves. That game in the second. Because you don't know who's going to win that division in the West. And it's scoreboard watching time. It's the fun time of year.
Walker pokes one the other way for a base hit. Cabrera to third. He'll be held up there as Altair gets it in. And the Mets have the bases loaded and nobody out. Well, nary a day goes by, it doesn't seem, without Neil Walker notching a base hit. It's 39 hits in his last 23 games.
Goes right with the fastball. Just kind of flicks it into left field. Nice bullet. Nice hitting. Walker has that ability to go the opposite field. And the Mets are in position here to blow the drawers off this game.
Well, Bob McClure, the pitching coach, is out at the mound. There's nobody up in the Phillies bullpen, so this is Marriott's inning. Even if the water starts to rise.
It is his creation. The 2 walks to start off the inning. Not good.
I think the 30 seconds are up.
They're not enforced.
They're really not.
So they're going to play the middle infielders back, Gary, for double play, concede a run, corners in. Joseph is kind of halfway.
How do you concede a run when you're down by 4?
I agree.
I mean, that's just conceding.
Here they come.
They're going to bring him in now.
They're going to bring him in. They got to.
You're down by 4 runs in the 7th.
Agreed.
Loney is 0 for 3. Grounded out, flied out, popped up. James has 2 grand slams in his career. The last one came 5 years ago.
Oh boy, this guy
takes the fastball down for ball 1.
He's digging himself a enormous grave. Very shallow outfield all night long. The Phils. Altair in left field. Big time shallow.
We'll go back in the crowd. A ball and a strike to Loney. Jeremy Hellickson went the first 4 innings for the Phillies, allowed 5 runs, 7 hits. David Hernandez threw 2 perfect innings in relief, but now Marriott has given up 2 walks and a single to his first 3 batters to make his life very difficult. Infield in all the way around. And Loney takes on the inside corner. He didn't think so. Will Little, the home plate umpire, called it a strike, and it's 1-2.
One of those Bartolo Colon fastballs to left-hand hitters in. Little movement starts it off the plate and moves back over the inside corner.
And Loney with a defensive cut keeps the at-bat alive. Alejandro De Aza waiting on deck. Phillies 1 run, 2 hits. The Mets 5 runs and 8 hits. And a chance to blow the doors off this game for Loney with the bases loaded and nobody out. And Loney goes after a fastball off the plate, and that's the first out of the inning.
Boy, oh boy, that's a lost opportunity right there. I know James is angry at himself. Now they might move the middle infielders back here. Halfway, double play depth for the double play. Here's the fastball here. I know that James is not happy with himself.
So now De Aza comes up with the bases loaded and 1 out. De Aza 0 for 3 tonight, 2 strikeouts and a fielder's choice, and they will move the infield back to double play depth.
De Aza can run, tough guy to double up.
Cabrera at third, Cespedes at second, Walker at first, and the changeup outside, ball 1.
You get that 5-run lead, it keeps that grand slam that can tie the ball game. Is always a big run to drive in.
A lot of talking to Michael Marriott since he came in this game.
Got to throw strikes.
That's a pretty simple message. Diaz has only had 4 opportunities this year with a runner at third and less than 2 out. He's converted 2 of the 4. Which is right in line with the Mets average. They're at 50% for the year. A little below the league average. 1-1 to Diaz.
Just need a fly ball here. Got a guy that runs the fastball away from a left-hand hitter. When he gets it down, it sinks. When it's up, it just runs flat away. Don't try to pull it into that left center field gap. Get this run in.
Diaz has to move his feet on the slider. And
almost hit him. Almost hit him. I got a couple RBIs with the bases loaded by a hit by a pitch, Garrett. I was happy I got hit because the pitcher was out there, gave me trouble.
In the air, deep center field. Back goes Herrera to the warning track. Back at the wall. He missed the ball. In comes Cabrera. Cespedes will score as well. It's a 2-run double for Alejandro Diaz. Herrera made the leap. I think he thought he had it, but he did not make the connection, and the Mets on the 2-run double by Diaz now have a 7-1 lead.
Well, here he goes back to the track. It looked like he stumbled a bit, or just, I don't know. He got a little gun shy of the wall. He could have made that play. Cespedes easily scores. I'm curious to see what Walker did on the backside. But it looked like that ball should have been caught. And Diaz once again, Gary, getting big RBI hits.
Well, he was going to get 1 run in anyway, and he gets 2 because Herrera just, I'm not sure exactly what happened there. He looked like he had it lined up and that he thought he had it.
And he didn't. So makes me think that he was a little bit gun shy of the wall.
Yeah, they're intentionally walking Granderson to reload the bases. So the Mets have added a couple here in the 7th to build a 7-1 lead. And Rene Rivera will come up with the bases full. Let's look at it one more time.
He's there, Garrett. He just missed it.
He could have taken another step.
Yes,
you know?
he kind of shortened up in the end. He could have, but he was afraid of the wall. Here's the base runners here. See, Cespedes, I don't blame Cespedes for tagging up. He thinks he's going to catch it. Look, Walker does the right thing. He's ready to go back. Now he can't run off Cespedes. So this was all the confusion was brought on with Herrera botching it out there.
It looked like everybody handled it the way they should have.
Absolutely.
So now the base is loaded for Rivera, who's 1 for 3 tonight. And Rene takes a breaking ball for a strike. So 3 walks in the inning now. The first 2 have scored, see?
Finally. You can't walk people. It's the kiss of death. Playing with fire.
Meanwhile, Diaz's hot streak continues. He's had the 5 RBIs 2 nights ago, 2 more tonight. That gives Diaz 13 RBIs this month. He only had 7 coming into the month. Severino Gonzalez, next man up in the Phillies bullpen. And that one knocked down by Rupp to prevent a run. It has been a slog of the 7th inning for Michael Marriott.
Well, the horses are out of the barn right now. 7-1.
He still has a few more horses he'd like to protect. Kelly Johnson is out on deck to pinch hit. 1-2. And the breaking ball fouled off. Meanwhile, in St. Louis, the A's have scored 2 runs in the top of the 8th to go in front of the Cardinals 3-2. And that's certainly good news for the Mets. And Rivera takes it just off the plate.
See, when you're all over the place and wild and walking hitters, umpire's not going to give you the close one.
Walker at third, De Aza at second, Granderson at first with 1 out. And Rivera lays off the breaking ball. Stop the swing in time. 3-2.
Okay.
So Marriott has painted himself right back into a corner. 32 pitches deep into this 7th inning, and a big pitch to make now to try and keep this from being a nightmare for him. Three-two coming, and the breaking ball pulled foul.
The old get me over breaking ball, because I don't want to walk anybody, but I'm afraid to throw my fastball. And you wind up throwing a lazy breaking ball just to get it over the plate, and the good hitters might hit it out of the ballpark.
Eighth pitch of the at bat coming to Rivera, and the fastball fouled back. So Rene Rivera giving a good accounting of himself on this at bat. Kelly Johnson on deck to pinch hit. It all started with walks to Cabrera and Cespedes. Walker single to load the bases. De Aza the 2-run double. A walk to Granderson intentionally, and now Rivera trying to cash in. Again the 3-2, and the breaking ball popped up. Hernandez out. Herrera in to make the catch as everybody holds. 2 out. So Rivera can't get the run in. Kelly Johnson will come up with the bases loaded and 2 out.
Phillies have no left-hander in their bullpen, folks. 7 relievers, all right-handed. No port-siders. All starboard.
Well, Jeremy Hellickson was at the 4. Mike Marriott's been the aft so far. "35 pitches already in this inning for Marriott, and now he's got to face Kelly Johnson. Kelly had been playing a lot while Cabrera and Reyes were on the disabled list. Walker was battling the back and then went home for the baby. So now Kelly has played less the last few days. But he has had himself a nice run since coming back to the Mets. 3 pinch hit home runs this year. And he socks that one to right center field. Back goes Herrera near the wall. It's out of here. A grand slam for Kelly Johnson. There's the icing on the cake. A pinch hit grand slam. The Mets' second grand slam of the series makes it 11-1 New York.
Wow.
Fourth pinch hit home run of the year for Kelly Johnson, and his 5th career grand slam.
He has been invaluable.
So the Mets have scored 6 times in the 7th inning to break this game open.
High fastball. No movement. Ripped.
9th home run of the year for Kelly, and now Reyes continues the inning with his 3rd hit of the night. Well, the Mets offense dormant for so long. They have found the range. Pete Mackanin has seen enough from Michael Marriott. Faced 9 batters, could not get through the inning, and so he'll make a pitching change. 6 runs home for the Mets in the 7th inning. Called Off against the Reds in April of 2014, and now Kelly Johnson, a pinch hit grand slam.
Oh, fastball up out over the plate. And he has been terrific off the bench.
Fourth pinch hit home run this season. Mets with 6 Marriott points in the 7th inning.
Oh.
And now Asdrubal Cabrera takes a strike. As Cabrera started this inning with a walk against Michael Marriott, now facing Severino Gonzalez, trying to pick up the pieces.
And Gonzalez threw an inning last night, through the 8th inning, a clean inning with 2 strikeouts.
23-year-old Panamanian. This is low and into Cabrera, 1-1. 2-run double for Alejandro De Aza. The pinch hit grand slam for Kelly Johnson. And the Mets with another big offensive night. It is 75 runs in the last 12 games. And with Johnson's home run, that's now 86 home runs for the Mets at Citi Field this year, which is a new record. 85 last year, 86 at home this year. Most the Mets have ever hit at Citi Field in the season since it opened in 2009.
And did we mention that the Mets have hit around? Did you mention that, Gary, or you just slipped by you?
I mentioned that Cabrera led off the inning.
Okay, that's.
But I did not use that particular terminology, the batting around. Now, do you consider 9 men up in the inning batting around?
I think,
or do you have to have a 10th man up?
10th.
I agree. Because you're going back around to the beginning is the way I see it.
Correct. I agree with you.
Now, there are some people who see it differently. They believe that 9 men up in the inning constitutes batting around. And I understand their point. That's driven down the line, a foul ball. They feel as though the 9 completes the circle,
right,
and thus is batting around. But I feel you have to have the overlap of the 10th to come completely around in the inning.
I'm in complete agreement with you, Garrett.
Glad when we agree. That's line, a base hit for Cabrera.
Boy, oh boy.
Mets will continue to bat in the 7th. It's booted by Borges, but no advance. So Cabrera has his 3rd hit of the night.
Serious hit parade here. 5th hit of the inning for the Mets. 3 walks, 1 intentional, 6 runs.
Now T.J. Rivera is going to bat for Yoenis Cespedes. And wonder whether they'll put Rivera in center field after he took fly balls today with 10-run lead. Maybe it's the perfect time to do that. Right? Or maybe he's not ready. We'll find out. Anyway, TJ just back from Vegas when Justin Ruggiano was put on the disabled list after he aggravated a shoulder injury last night. Wait, Ruggiano first hurt that shoulder his first game as a Met. Remember, he tried to make a diving catch
against the wall, yeah.
Face planted, and he hurt his shoulder. And he's been battling that ever since and aggravated it last night. Rivera chases, and it's 0-2. So TJ, who has really been riding that Las Vegas shuttle back and forth 3 or 4 times in the last month, has really swung the bat well when he's had the opportunity, hitting .314 at the major league level. And he goes around to the half swing, and so Severino gets him on 3 pitches to end the inning. But 11 Mets came to bat, and 6 runs scored, 4 of them on one big swing by Kelly Johnson as a pinch hitter. Mets lead 11-1 going to the 8th. Well, the Mets enjoying themselves a big night. 7 strong innings from Noah Syndergaard, who's contributed with the bat as well. Mets have hit 3 more home runs tonight, and they have an 11-1 lead going to the 8th. Changes. Jose Reyes moves from third base to shortstop. T.J. Rivera will stay in at third base. Kelly Johnson stays in the game in left field, and Jim Henderson will make his 3rd appearance since returning from the disabled list.
Well, there are his numbers on the year. He missed a lot of time. But getting back into form here, another to bolster the bullpen. It's much needed to have Henderson back.
Tommy Joseph, the first man to bat, and Henderson's still trying to settle in. His first 2 appearances have not been pretty. Gave up 2 runs in an inning in his last outing. Gave up a 2-run homer to Brandon Moss in St. Louis. Joseph batting for the first time, came in a double switch, and he fouls one back, a ball and a strike. Syndergaard went 7, allowed a run on 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a home run. Lowered his 3rd best ERA in the league to 2.55. So Emmanuel Burris out on deck to bat for Freddie Galvis. It's popped up in foul ground. Loney hoping for a play. Has room. 1 out. Mets Health Report brought to you by Affinity Health Plan, serving the needs of New Yorkers for over 30 years. Those are the Mets currently on the DL. Of course, Duda, Harvey, Wright, all done for the year. Zach Wheeler probably the same. Jonathan Neese out for the rest of the season, probably. Same with Lagares. Only guy on that list who might come back is Justin Ruggiano, and we just have no idea about that. And Matz, of course, who should be back this week. That's the hope. Anyway, Matz is going to throw a bullpen session tomorrow, and then if all goes well, he will make the start here on Wednesday against the Marlins. Here's Burris pinch hitting for Galvis. It's been hard to keep up with all the people on the Mets disabled list.
No,
at least there are fewer now than there were a couple of weeks ago. Captain's in the house, spreading sunshine wherever he goes.
Hopefully. Well, this game is pretty much, I would think, a foregone conclusion. 10-run lead, 8th inning.
I want to mention something that you noted in passing earlier in the game as Burris pops one up in foul ground, and Rivera watches it sail out of play. The Mets last night hit 4 home runs. It was the 9th time this year the Mets have hit 4 or more home runs in a game, which is a franchise record. And the Alaska Sports Bureau went back and looked, and in 1986, you guys who had a lot of power on your team only hit 4 or more home runs in a game once.
Right. It was against Houston, I believe, where Ray Knight got a walk-off in extra innings, and we had to do it in extra innings, if I'm correct.
Strawberry hit 2. Ed Hearn hit 1. And Ray hit the game winner off Frank DiPino in the bottom of the 10th. Now, how is it that that team only had 1 4-home run game?
Bigger ballparks? I don't know, Garrett. We had a lot more power than what I see out there.
Burris smacks one to deep center field, chasing Diaz back. They'll have room to make the catch. 2 outs. I think you guys just spread it out better. Distributed your home runs across the season.
I don't even know how many home runs we hit that year, and where we were ranked. Go ahead and read the prompt, Garrett. No, go ahead. Read the copy.
Well, I was going to tell you that our next Picks telecast is Saturday, September 10th, when the Mets meet the Braves. Coverage begins at 6:30 with Tom Warner Cable pregame right here on New York's home for baseball. Picks 11.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get in the way of that.
That's okay.
It's very critical.
First things first. Peter Borges up for the 2nd time.
We're going to find out also where we ranked.
Well, think
and
about
runs scored too.
Well, think about it
in
this
86.
way. Think about it this way. If you only hit 3 home runs every day, if you never hit 4 home runs, but you hit 3 home runs every day, that's 486 home runs. And that's a lot of home runs.
That's not happening.
But I'm just saying that you don't need to hit them all in the same game. You can spread them out and still hit plenty of home runs.
Okay. You're overthinking this.
Perhaps so. But it's 11-1. 1-1 to Borges. Now the Mets have now scored 75 runs in their last 12 games. That's 6 1/4 runs per game, which is 2.5 runs per game above their norm for the season. That's right around 3.8 runs per game for the season. Mets have also had 10 or more hits 10 times in these last 12 games. So the offense is hitting on an entirely different plane from where they've been most of the year. And as we've been mentioning often, because of the uncertainty with the starting pitching staff, once you get beyond Cologne and Syndergaard, you may need to keep doing what they're doing. 1-2. Off the plate, 2-2.
All right, so in 1986 we hit 148 home runs as a team. That was third in the National League, but we led the National League in runs with 783.
So just by contrast, you guys hit 148 home runs in a full season. The Mets this year have hit 172.
Right.
With 34 games to go. Strike 3. Borges is out. 1-2-3 inning for Henderson. Much better looking inning for him. 11-1 New York in the 8th.
The Phillies 11-1. Neil Walker to lead off the inning for the Mets, and Walker with another hit tonight continues his hot streak. He's been a streaky player this season for the Mets, and talking to Kevin Long, he said that part of that could have to do with the way that he sets up at the plate. Neil Walker, not one of these guys that starts in a hitting position standing upright instead at the plate and then has to get into his swing once the pitcher delivers the pitch. Now for Walker, when all the parts are working, it's rhythm and timing, he can get very hot, but when one little aspect of that is off, that's where some of those cold streaks come into play. Kevin Long said it reminds him a lot of Adam LaRoche, who used to stand up like that, and as Mets fans remember, could get very hot but also very cold as well.
Well, certainly the hot has outweighed the cold for Neil this year.
He has had himself one fantastic year. Like the shoes. The white and blue. Look at that. That's nice. No orange. That's a nice look. It goes well with the pinstripes. That's hot. And the blue laces.
It looked like he plays for Duke.
Houston Oilers, Billy White shoes.
Walker's been on base 3 times tonight, 2 walks and a single.
And he cracks that one to deep right center field. Herrera back to the warning track near the wall. It's out of here. Number 23 for Neil Walker, tying his career high. The Mets hit 4 home runs for the 2nd straight night and the 10th time this season, and now it's 12-1.
Well, this is an embarrassment of riches. Wow. What an offensive night for the Metsies. Same spot. Out over the plate. Same spot that Johnson's home run was. Oh, nice try.
Well, Neal is certainly making a case for himself. Free agent at the end of the year. And he is having his best offensive season. And Severino Gonzalez hoped it would stay in, but no luck. James Loney's gone 0 for 4 tonight. 2-run homer Cabrera in the third. 3-run homer Cespedes in the fourth. Grand slam Johnson in the seventh. Solo Walker in the eighth. So the Mets have hit for the cycle of home runs.
Let's see how many runs were via the home run. 4, 5. Oh my word.
10. Right? Yep. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yep, you're right, Gary.
Simple math, my friend.
Well, that was never my strong suit.
No, geopolitical history. You're right on top of it.
Oh, yeah, right. Thanks.
Well, he hits one out to center field. This one's playable for Herrera. He's done a lot of running backwards tonight. That's the first out. Play of the game brought to you by ChevyOffers.com. Pinch hit grand slams don't come around very often.
8th home run of the season for Kelly Johnson. 7th as a Met. 4th as a Met pinch hitter.
Which leaves him one shy of the club record, which is held by Jordany Valdespin.
Yes.
Here's De Aza, who drove in the 2 non-home run runs for the Mets tonight with a double that just eluded Herrera in the 7th inning. Meanwhile, in St. Louis, Ryan Madson is trying to close out the St. Louis Cardinals. Oakland 3, St. Louis 2, 2 out and nobody on in the bottom of the 9th. And that would obviously be a great benefit to the Mets. We're trying to run down the Cardinals. 1 and 2 now to De Aza. And that game is over. Oakland wins 3-2. So if the Mets win, they'll be just 2.5 behind the Cardinals for the second wild card spot. Mets started out this year with a 15-7 April and basically slogged along for 3.5 months. But now perhaps, at least from an offensive standpoint, hitting their stride in the latter days of August. That's it in the air to deep right field. Borges goes back. He's got room and he makes the catch. De Aza making a bid. 2 out. So St. Louis has lost. Miami is down 1-0. That's in the top of the 9th. San Diego 1, Marlins 0. It was Clayton Richard who started that game for the Padres. He went 7 innings, allowed no runs on 8 hits. Granderson takes it outside. 2-0. Lined into the shift. One hopper for Hernandez. That retires the side. Neil Walker's home run adds the Mets' 12th run of the night. 12-1 going to the 9th. third straight win, and they're 6th in the last 7. Changes as we go to the ninth. TJ Rivera moves from third base to second base. Wilmer Flores comes in to play third base. And Josh Smoker will try and get the final 3 outs.
Well, it saves the bullpen with this big blowout here. Gets Smoker another little inning of work. It's been a little tough slog for him. But most importantly, it gives Addison Reed a rest. It gives Familia a rest.
Well, the last time Smoker pitched, he came in with a 6-run lead in the 8th inning in St. Louis and never retired a batter. Hopes to do better tonight. And as Keith said, save the rest of that bullpen. Top of the batting order, Cesar Hernandez leads off for the Phillies. Nice to see Jim Henderson work a 1-2-3/8. Much steadier performance for him, albeit in a lopsided game. So the Mets now have scored 76 runs in 12 games. That's 6.3 runs per game for a dozen games. And tomorrow the Mets will be going for the sweep of the series with Robert Gazelman making his first big league start. Hernandez fouls back the first pitch from Smoker. Hernandez has walked twice, stolen a base, grounded out 0 for 1. And Smoker now ahead 0-2. Coming up next on Pix 11, it's the Pix 11 News. On SNY, it's WB Mason post-game live. Noah Syndergaard went 7 tonight, allowed just 1 run and 2 hits, struck out 7, walked 2, in line for his 12th win of the year. 2-2 now to Hernandez with Odubel Herrera on deck.
Well, the Phillies got this ball game. The home run hit parade started when Galvis hit his 14th home run, the top of the 3rd, but the Mets had 4 home runs to answer. And as a result, you've got, what, 11 of the 12 runs via the home run. 10, excuse me.
Hit right at Rivera. And he retires Hernandez one away. You know, I called it the cycle of home runs before. Solo, 2-run, 3-run grand slam. There should be another name. Should maybe call it the Royal Flush.
Garrett, I think you're a genius. I don't have to tell the folks at home. I'm in such high esteem that I hold you.
Let's not go overboard here.
It's laying it on a little thick.
Tad. Here's Herrera, who's 0 for 3.
Oh boy, it's been a slog tonight. Great night for the Mets. Pick up a game, 2.5. If the Cardinals go down, they did. Sweet.
Slap toward third, past Flores and into left field. And so Herrera has the Phillies' 3rd hit of the night. So a 1-out single for Odubel.
Odubel likes that ball away. He likes to pluck it into the opposite field.
Now Aaron Altair has gone 0 for 3 tonight. Did you see the Matt Harvey bobbleheads they gave out tonight?
I did not. Why do you bring it up?
Only because, like many bobbleheads, it bore virtually no resemblance to Matt.
Oh, okay.
Fly ball down the right field side, and that'll go out of play. Matt was with the ball club in St. Louis the other night. Here's the box. It was a very interesting shot of the box, didn't you think?
I thought it was a great resemblance.
One of the nicest looking bobblehead boxes I've ever seen. So here's Matt. What do you think?
What do you think?
That looks good. I was asking what you thought. I mean, it's a very nice.
It's got the little beard.
Nice celebratory pose. You know, the pumping of the fist after a big strikeout.
It's close enough.
You know, it's like somebody else, but I'm not sure who. What do you think?
I think it's the top of the 9th with 1 out and a 12-1 ball game.
He's got the scruff.
Yeah, he got the scruff and the beard.
Yeah. He doesn't have the bloody nose. I thought that would have been a nice touch, you know, because Matt's prone to the bloody nose. They didn't include that. Nose completely clear of blood. And Altair goes around on the half swing.
All right, let's get this
2 out.
Put it in the books. Let's go.
Who are you, Howie? 2 out Herrera at first, or are you just paying tribute to him?
I'm urging them on. Got a day game tomorrow. Get these guys a good night's sleep. Come out here for a little sweepage.
So the Phillies down to their final out. Michael Franco is 1 for 3 on the night. Josh Smoker trying to put on the finishing touches, but he needs another set of signs. We're in the bottom of the 9th in Miami. San Diego 1, Miami 0. Breaking ball by Smoker. Josh Smoker at one time a first-round draft pick by the Washington Nationals. Took a long and winding road to the big leagues with the Mets. Through independent ball. And now he's 1 strike away from closing out this game. And Franco strikes out. And the Mets with an overwhelming win tonight as they beat the Phillies 12-1. 4 home runs for the 2nd straight night. Great performance by Noah Syndergaard. And the Mets have now won 3 in a row and 6 of their last 7 as they win this one 12-1.
Well, these are the things that you have to do. You beat up on the 2nd division ball clubs. There's Terry Collins, very happy camper. You got to beat up on these guys. Put the pedal to the metal, get them down late in the year, and usually you can roll over them. And the Mets are back to 2.5, hitting 4 home runs. Cabrera, Cespedes, Johnson, a pinch hit grand slam, and Walker, and a big win. Syndergaard, his 12th win.
Mets are now just 2.5 back in the wild card chase. The game summary brought to you by the Dodge Summer Clearance Event. Mets hitting the royal flush of home runs. Kelly Johnson, the pinch hit grand slam, putting on the icing. 3rd in 2 nights for Cabrera. Mets win 12-1. More coming up from Citi Field in just a moment.